What is going on, you beautiful people? It is Wednesday, and I am excited to be here because I had a craptastic day at work, and this is one of the highlights of my day right now after just getting able to have a nice dinner with the family, and now I get to treat you people to some awesome stuff. So I'm happy to be here. I hope you're happy to be here. And, for those of you that are coming around, I've been connecting with a bunch of new people. So if you don't know me, my name is Josh, and I like to provide value. And so what my goal is here today is to help provide value to you, to help you move your business forward, your life forward, to help change the trajectory of where you're going, and hopefully be a beacon of light, within your day and what's going on in your world. So with that, I am super excited about this topic today because this is something that I am very, very passionate about, we'll say. I very much have changed the trajectory of my life, and have started focusing on being more positive and having more people around that lift me up and build me up. And I want to be able to do that for other people. And so my goal today is to do exactly that and help people learn what they can do, or really just learn what things to look for in negative people and what they can do to kind of limit their exposure to those negative people, right? Like I want to help you identify and also kind of minimize that exposure. So, and what we're going to do, we're going to talk about it a little bit in more of a conversational style. And I'm going to get a little bit more deep in each of these topics. There are 6 of them, so I'm going to try to go through them here in the next 20 to 30 minutes. But hang out with me. Let's have a good time. Let me know where you're coming in from, whether it's live or on the replay, and let's get right to it. So the whole reason I brought this up, right, this whole negativity and trying to have a more positive mindset, is because that's been more rampant these days, especially as we've got around this time of the year, this time of the every 4 years, just everything that's been going on in the world. We need to be aware of what people are doing that could potentially bring our mindset down to a level that we just don't want it to be at. And it's really difficult because, sorry, I'm closing some tabs here. I have a way more open than I should. It's really difficult to identify some of these things because we get blinded in some of the stuff that's happening. And then we start, just ignoring the signs. So for example, we'll get into the first one. Like the first one, so 6 things that negative people will do to you. The first one is diminish your value. And it's a really big issue because most people don't realize that's what's happening. Most people don't realize that someone is diminishing their value or devaluing them as a person. And those things can be really minute comments. So like, for example, when someone's like, man, I had a really good day. This went right and this went right and this went right. And oh my gosh, like, that's so amazing. And like, I did so many good things. Like I did this and I did that. And someone goes, oh, that's cool. Well, I did this. Or let me tell you about what I did. And they start kind of one-upping you, right? You ever been around those people, the one-uppers, the ones that you tell them a really cool thing that happened or a really cool story, and they go, yeah, that's nothing. Let me tell you about what I did. Let me tell you about what I went through. Let me tell you about my day. That's diminishing your value. Because what they're doing is they're saying, yeah, you're not as valuable to me as what I am to myself. So, I'm just going to go ahead and diminish you so I can feel bigger. And even though your day probably was better than mine was, I'm going to talk about something that's so awesome in my day that it makes you feel small. And what's weird is so many people overlook that. They think, oh yeah, that person's just really excited about their day. No, that person is a negative person because they couldn't accept the fact that you had a better day than they did. So they have to one up you and put themselves above you, diminishing your value. Think about that for a minute, right? Think about how easy it is for someone to skip over that and not realize that that's a negative mindset. That's actually, to be honest, that's actually a fixed mindset if we get into fixed versus growth, but that's a way another topic. So let's not get in that. So number 1, they diminish your value. Another trait of what negative people do is they destroy your image. And like, put this in perspective in terms of, what it looks like for when your image is getting just demolished, right? Think about what's going to happen when somebody's talking to you and you're talking about all these things that you're doing and you're talking about your business and whatever. And then you find out that that person's going around telling other people that your business is failing. Maybe your business is going in the dumps. Maybe you are going into something that is just, you're in a rough spot. Maybe you're in that valley of despair or whatever the case may be. I honestly, like, if someone turns around and talks negatively about your business or your life behind your back, they're trying to destroy your image. Maybe not intentionally, but their negativity is so strong in their mind that they are trying to bring you down, even when you're not around. Like, they're doing it, and they may not even do it to your face, but negative people will try to destroy your image, because if you are doing better than they are, kind of back to the first point, right? If you're doing better than they are, they're going to feel like they have to bring you down, even without you being around, talking behind your back, spreading rumors, whatever the case may be. I know you've had that happen. I've had that happen many a times. Actually, interesting little introspective fact about Josh here. That almost was going to end up being a problem with my marriage, because rumors were being spread that things were happening with somebody else that it wasn't happening. Why? Because I was happy and she was not. So this person decided to spread rumors, and that almost broke things apart for my wife and I. So again, negative people, when they're not in the place they want to be, they're going to bring people down around them. They're going to destroy their image. So number 3, negative people will drive you crazy, like batty. And it's a lot of times when in this one, I will say that this is probably more intentional than not. And when I say drive you crazy, meaning like you can't stand the way that they're around you, right? And you don't know what it is. Like, they just get on your nerves, and they go through and they're like, they're always in your ear, and they're always doing something that gets at you, and they know it, and they continue to do it. It's almost like a toddler, right? Toddlers don't understand how to curb that part of their personality, right? They don't understand how to prevent that piece of their mind from being out in the open like that. They're just doing whatever comes natural. And it doesn't mean that they're negative, right? But like, toddlers generally are that kind of, like, they're going to push your buttons. Well, negative people will continue to do that as well. They won't grow out of that stuff. They won't start living in a positive mindset. They won't have an attitude of gratitude about the things that are going on, because what's going to happen is they're going to continue to be in that toddler state of mind, and they're going to continue to bring other people down by driving them crazy, by pushing their buttons, doing things that are annoying. They're going to get out there and be the obnoxious people. But if they're circling around your way of life, they're going to do it to you, and they're going to do it as much as possible. The next one, number 4, is they're going to dispose your dreams. So negative people generally don't like to see other people succeed, because what that does is one of 2 things. Either A, it reminds them exactly how far behind they are from the times. It reminds them the things they haven't gotten done. It reminds them the things that they just really don't, just the things that they didn't do with their life, right? The things that they didn't accomplish, the things that they didn't realize that they weren't doing. And the more that happens, the more that you're successful, that negative person is going to try to dispose of your dream. So when you say like, oh, my dream is to travel the world, and they go, yeah, like that's never going to happen. Or yeah, that'll be the day. Or yeah, okay, when pigs fly. Like, have you ever heard one of those things before? I have. And here's the thing is we think about it, we just brush it off, right? We're like, oh yeah, whatever. But imagine that happening every day, or every time you see that person and they're like, how's things going? You're like, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be free from my 9 to 5 this year. Everything's going to go great. And they're going, yeah, okay. The proof is in the pudding, baby. Well, guess what? When they say things like that, that's diminishing your dreams. That's disposing of your dreams because they're not believing in you that you're actually going to do that. They're not believing in you that you're actually going to move forward with what you're working on. And they're going to continue to tell you that you can't achieve those dreams. So then we get into the fifth thing that negative people will do to you is discredit your imagination. And I actually had something like this happen recently. So I brought up something to a friend of mine and I said, hey, I've been thinking about doing this. And I brought up a thing that I wanted to do with our marketing. And I said, I'm thinking about this. And I tried to do this before. It didn't work out, but I think I'm going to double down on it, right? I think I'm going to go through and I'm going to bring in just the fire. I'm just going to just do it all. I'm just going to just no holds barred, just go for it, right? And they told me, well, that's great and all, but don't you think you're kind of chewing, biting off more than you can chew? Don't you think that that's just really like kind of just far-fetched? And I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, look, everything fits together. It all works. Like it all melds together. It's going to be awesome. Like I just got this whole great idea of how it can just all work. And he's like, yeah, but why would you go to that length? Like that just seems like way out there. That just seems like a pipe dream. And that's when I knew right there. I said, okay, I appreciate the feedback. I'll take that in consideration. And I had to just get it out of my brain. I didn't want to receive it. And the reason being is because that person was diminishing my imagination. He was discrediting the things that I was being creative about. And at first I was like, what is going on? And then I realized, oh, he's just being negative. And it's easier as you identify these things more, it's easier to actually pick up on that sooner. And you go, oh yeah, that kind of I don't want to receive that in my mind because when your thoughts are powerful, your words are powerful, but also what goes in your mind, what goes in your ears, that's powerful too. And so, at that point, discrediting your imagination, that's really big. But the last one, and this is the one that I think is most important. And it's really tough because this happens all the time in the marketing world. You see it where, at least it's not as much now, but it used to be a lot more rampant, but actually people defaming other people's abilities. So what we see a lot is, for example, there's a big ad going around Facebook. I don't know if it's still going around. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's about a company that's basically talking about the fact that you don't need funnels. And they blatantly attack another company that's famous for funnel building. And what that really is that is actually defaming somebody else's abilities. Now, in that aspect, it's really not that big of a deal, right? Like as you go through and you look at how big these companies are, they're both, one company, the actual funnel building company, they're large. But the company that's kind of throwing some shade their way, they're not as large, but they're still a decent sized company. They still do some revenue. But that's openly and blatantly defaming someone's abilities. And it happens all the time. And I actually got caught in that trap. I got caught in that trap when I first got into the marketing world and the online marketing, when I really started to show myself and connect with people and really put people out there and like call people out, right? But like not directly, but indirectly. Because obviously this company, didn't do it directly, but oh, we got John in the house. What's up, brother? Yeah, dude. Nice to see you. Appreciate you being here. So, but yeah, so defaming someone's abilities, that could be where you did something awesome. Like, for example, I'm doing this live right now. And let's say somebody tomorrow gets on and says, yeah, people getting on live talking about negativity just really grinds my gears. And let me tell you why. Well, obviously, if we're connected with the same people are going to go, well, wait a minute. Josh just did that. Like, what is this guy saying? And that's something that we have to keep in mind is that we want to make sure we're not doing that to other people, right? But that's one of the things that negative people will do to you is they will defame your abilities to make you seem like you're not as good as you think you are, again, because they don't want you to be bigger than they are. And a lot of times we don't realize that there's people with the negative mindset, the thing that they're getting a rise out of is that they get that dopamine drip, that they feel better about themselves when they can bring somebody else down, whether or not it's intentional. There are some people out there, and I know that, people that battle with certain things like depression and things like that, they can have certain attributes and certain traits that mimic this kind of stuff. And it's fine. Like sometimes it's not intentional, but it really just comes down to, do you really want that around you? And like John said, right? Like haters, man. And some of them are just haters. Some of them are just people that are they're out to get you. And some of them don't even realize they're doing it either. I've got a really good friend of mine. I don't talk to him that much anymore. I hope he's doing well. If he sees this, I hope that he knows that I'm thinking about him, but I don't have him around all that much because he's a very negative person. He likes to attack other people. He likes to make fun of other people, and he gets a rise out of it. And he just doesn't have any empathy and doesn't have any emotion behind it. It's just, that's who he is. And we knew that, and we kept him around for a while, but eventually it was like, it would wear on us because he would go too far and people would get hurt and people would have some concerns. And so, we just had to distance ourselves. And so now that we've got the 6 tips, the 6 things that negative people do to you, I want to go into a quick little tip about what you can do to limit the exposure without causing a lot of riff. And one of the things that I know that people struggle with is they're like, well, I've got this negative family member, but I don't want to unfriend them because I don't want them to think that I don't like them. Like, I like them, but I just can't have them around my content and all that kind of stuff. And like, I don't want to see their stuff. So, I don't know what to do. Well, good news is on almost any social media accounts out there, most of them you can unfollow people, like especially with Facebook, you can unfollow people without unfriending people. So you can go make sure that you're not seeing their notifications, you're not seeing their stuff. But you don't want to unfriend them because you're like, well, I really don't want them to like not see my content. Or maybe you think that someday your content will help them be a better person. So instead of going through and just unfriending everybody, some of those people, you can just unfollow them so you don't see their negativity. But maybe, hopefully, that your positivity will shine through on their newsfeed. Sorry, I got something in my eye here. Hopefully your positivity will shine through. And then what that will do for them is maybe that will show them that you really are a positive person and they do want to be around you. And maybe they'll curb some of that stuff that they're dealing with, or they won't figure it out. One of the two things are going to happen. There's really no in between, right? Either they're going to notice or they won't care. But you can do one of those things, or if you've got somebody personally, like maybe it's not a Facebook friend, but maybe it's a personal friend that you just hate having around all the time because they're really abrasive. And I know there's some people I know personally that I'm very straightforward with my delivery on things. And I'm not a beat around the bush kind of guy. So I definitely can have that, that vibe with people that I'm abrasive. But those kind of people that you maybe don't want to hang around all that much, instead of just ignoring them, maybe have conversations, say, hey, now's not a good time. Or, hey, like I'd love to, but let's, we got some stuff going on. Can we maybe, push it out a couple weeks? I mean, whatever the case may be, and just limit how often you see those people. And especially if you get invited to stuff, don't be afraid to say no. Because if you don't want to be around that negativity, you've got to take the initiative to push those people a little to the outside, right? Like imagine like the circle of influence, and you just want them kind of right on the outside. Just like you don't want them in here in the circle. You just want them right here where they're still reachable. You can still talk to them. You can still hang out with them, but they're just not in that tight knit circle and bringing that negativity into your life and into your family, especially like me having a wife and 2 kids. I don't want negative people being in there and causing a negative influence on my kids. It's just not something I want around. So you limit that time without completely cutting them off. And the nice thing is that if you're doing it in a respectful way, you're not causing any riff, you're not making any waves, you're not doing anything that anybody else wouldn't do. You're just limiting that exposure. And by doing that, sometimes that can even help those people understand a little bit more of what's going on in their own lives. Maybe that'll give them some time, some reflection, that'll give them some time to make some changes in their life. I know we've had a couple friends that have done that, and it's awesome when that happens. So that's what I had for you today. Quick little recap for those of you that are hanging around till the end that maybe didn't catch everything. We talked about six things negative people will do to you. Number 1, they'll diminish your value. Number 2, they'll destroy your image. Number 3, they'll drive you crazy, just complete batshit crazy. Number 4, they'll dispose your dreams. Number 5, they'll discredit your imagination. And number 6, they'll defame your abilities. And just keep a watch out for that. And appreciate you guys. Appreciate you being here. John, thanks always. You're always a great support for me. Happy Wednesday to you as well, brother. Hope to see you around. And for the rest of you, we'll see you next week with another great topic. Have a good one.